Tonight, as you settle into a comfortable position and allow your body to gradually release the last traces of tension from the day, I invite you into a world where danger becomes delicate and science becomes soft enough to carry you gently toward rest. Poisonous plants, often imagined as sharp, alarming, or fearsome, can reveal an entirely different side when viewed through a quiet, patient lens. Their chemistry, though potent, unfolds in slow, elegant patterns. Their forms, though defensive, are shaped by millions of years of silent adaptation, and their presence in the natural world is not chaotic, but deeply balanced. Imagine walking through a serene garden at dusk. The air is cool and still, the sky tinted with the last glow of fading light. Around you, shapes of leaves, flowers, and stems move only slightly with the breeze. Some of these plants are ordinary, some familiar, and some, hidden among them, hold secrets within their tissues. Yet nothing feels threatening here. Everything is peaceful. Whatever toxicity these plants contain exists only as part of their survival, expressed not with violence, but with chemistry as gentle and intricate as lace. As night settles in, their stories begin to whisper. How some plants developed subtle compounds to protect themselves from herbivores. How others learned to manipulate their environment through scents, colors, or the slightest bitter taste. None of these strategies were born from malice, only from the quiet logic of nature. Tonight, we explore that logic softly, slowly, letting each detail drift through your mind like the faint fragrance of a nighttime bloom. You're safe here. You're warm. You are simply listening to the soft side of science. And as we wander together through the world of poisonous plants, you may find that their chemistry, so often misunderstood, can become a gentle companion for sleep. A quiet story of defense, adaptation, beauty, and balance, unfolding one soft fact at a time. Allow their mysteries to guide you into a deeper calm, the way dusk guides the world quietly into night. Poisonous plants occupy a fascinating corner of the natural world. They are elegant chemists, crafting molecules that can repel, protect, or influence the creatures around them. Yet, despite their reputation, their science is not violent. It is methodical, graceful, and deeply connected to the ecosystems they inhabit. Tonight, we will explore this chemistry with gentleness, moving slowly through each idea so your mind can wander freely and peacefully. Poisonous plants appear across forests, deserts, grasslands, and gardens in forms both striking and subtle. Some are vivid, drawing the eye with bright flowers or unusual shapes. Others blend into their surroundings, hiding their potency behind familiar leaves or soft petals. But whether bold or unassuming, each has evolved a unique set of chemical defenses: alkaloids, glycosides, oxalates, essential oils, latexes, and countless compounds shaped by time, pressure, and survival. These chemicals are not created with intent. They are simply the natural language of plants, a way to discourage grazing animals, a method to prevent insects from feeding on tender stems, a strategy to keep seeds safe long enough to sprout. And despite the dramatic effects these compounds can have in high doses, they are also responsible for some of the world's most important medicines, fragrances, and ecological balances. Tonight's journey will not be intense or alarming. We will not focus on harm, danger, or fear. Instead, we will explore these plants with calm curiosity, letting their chemistry unfold in soft layers. You will learn how their molecules form, how they function, and how they contribute to nature's quiet equilibrium. We will examine their histories, their ecological roles, and the gentle interactions that shape their evolution. And as you listen, you don't need to hold onto every detail. You can let the information drift like a slow breeze moving through leaves. This is not a lecture. It is a soft, nighttime walk through botanical science, a peaceful invitation to appreciate the complexity and beauty of plants that protect themselves with elegant chemistry. By the time we reach the end, you may already be drifting into sleep, carried by the subtle rhythms of nature's most mysterious botanists. When we think of poisonous plants, it's easy to imagine harsh warning colors, sharp thorns, or bitter scents meant to drive intruders away. But the truth is far gentler. Toxicity in plants isn't born of aggression or hostility. It is simply the soft, natural logic of survival expressed through chemistry. In the same way, a tree grows bark to protect itself, or a flower produces nectar to attract pollinators. Poisonous plants create molecules that allow them to exist a little more safely in a world full of hungry insects, grazing animals, and microscopic competitors. Their toxins are, in essence, quiet shields, subtle defenses woven into roots, stems, leaves, and seeds. Imagine standing before a foxglove, its bell shaped flowers drooping gracefully in soft purples and pinks. Nothing about it suggests danger. Its beauty is serene, its form delicate. Yet within its leaves lies digitalis, a cardiac glycoside capable of altering the rhythm of a heartbeat. The plant did not create this compound with humans in mind. It developed digitalis slowly, over thousands of years, simply to discourage animals from feeding on its tender leaves. Its toxicity is not violence, it is self care, a quiet, botanical boundary. This is the essence of plant toxicity, gentle strategies shaped by time. A plant cannot flee from a predator. It cannot hide or fight physically. Its only tools are chemistry, structure, and patience. Evolution does the rest. The compounds we classify as poisonous are simply the ones that proved most successful at keeping the plant safe. In this way, toxicity is less like a weapon and more like a whisper, a soft but firm message that says, please, not this leaf. One of the most fascinating aspects of poisonous plants is how precise their toxins can be. Some compounds target insects specifically, leaving mammals untouched. Others affect herbivores, but not birds. Some interfere with the digestive systems of small creatures, but pose no threat to larger ones. Every molecule has its own story, where it came from, how it evolved, and what problem it solved. Take alkaloids, for example. These nitrogen based compounds have an incredible range of effects. Nicotine protects tobacco plants from insects by overstimulating their nervous systems. Atropine, found in deadly nightshade, blocks certain receptors in animals, causing changes in muscle function and vision. Morphine, extracted from the opium poppy, evolved as a defensive compound but later became one of the most influential substances in human medicine. Each alkaloid represents a conversation between a plant and the creatures that once threatened it, a chemical dialogue taking place over centuries. Then there are cyanogenic glycosides found in plants like cassava and elderberry. These compounds remain harmless until the plant's tissues are damaged. When an insect chews through a leaf, the molecules break apart and release small amounts of cyanide, just enough to discourage the attacker. It is a beautifully efficient design, toxins activated only when needed, like a soft alarm system. The plant stays peaceful unless disturbed. Some plants rely on oxalates, tiny crystalline structures that create irritation when eaten. These crystals can feel sharp or unpleasant in the mouth, signaling to animals that the plant is not meant for them, despite the discomfort they cause. These compounds are not malicious. They are simple reminders, gentle boundaries that protect vulnerable tissues. Many poisonous plants also use essential oils and aromatic compounds as part of their defensive strategies. For example, eucalyptus trees contain oils that can be toxic in large quantities, but also act as antimicrobial agents, protecting the leaves from pathogens. These scents drift through forests and woodlands, subtle and serene, shaping ecosystems in ways we rarely notice. And while toxicity may seem like an extreme approach, it is actually balanced by the forest itself. Plants do not aim to eliminate herbivores, they simply aim to coexist with them. Many poisonous plants provide food for insects that have evolved resistance to their toxins. Monarch butterfly caterpillars, for instance, feed exclusively on milkweed, absorbing its cardiac glycosides into their bodies to protect themselves from predators. This delicate relationship shows how toxicity doesn't disrupt ecosystems, it shapes them, it guides interactions, encourages adaptation, and weaves connections between species through quiet chemistry. Toxicity can even play a role in maintaining biodiversity. When a plant becomes too palatable, herbivores may consume it excessively, threatening its survival. But a small dose of chemical defense ensures balance. Animals eat just enough of the plant to survive without destroying it, and the plant avoids overgrazing. This equilibrium creates space for many different species to thrive together, each one adapting to the quiet signals sent by its neighbors. Humans have long been captivated by poisonous plants. Ancient cultures recognized their potency, studying their effects and using them in small, controlled amounts for rituals, medicines, and dyes. Over time, scientists discovered that many toxic compounds hold incredible therapeutic potential. Digitalis became a heart medication. Atropine became a vital pharmaceutical tool. Taxol, derived from the Pacific yew tree, became an essential treatment for cancer. Even some of the most potent plant toxins, like ricin, taught researchers valuable lessons about protein synthesis and cellular function. This duality, danger and healing intertwined, shows that toxic plants are not villains. They are teachers. They demonstrate that the same molecule that deters a predator can also save a life when understood and used properly. Their chemistry offers insight into resilience, adaptation, and the delicate balance between harm and protection. As you imagine these plants, foxgloves swaying gently in the breeze, nightshade berries glistening like tiny dark jewels, yew trees casting quiet shadows, notice how calm they appear. Their toxicity is hidden, subtle, never loud or aggressive. It is expressed only when needed, and always with precision. Everything about their existence is slow, thoughtful, and remarkably elegant. And in this awareness, you may find a sense of peace. Nature is full of complexities, but even its most dangerous creations arise from simple needs: the need to survive, to protect, to adapt. Poisonous plants are not warnings of fear, they are reminders that every organism has its boundaries, and that these boundaries can be honored gently. Tonight, as you drift deeper into rest, let this idea settle like soft petals falling onto the forest floor. That complexity can be calming, that mystery can be soothing, and that even the sharpest chemistry can reveal its gentlest side when understood with patience. This is the quiet logic behind plant toxicity, a soft, natural balance that has shaped life on Earth for millions of peaceful years. If you could shrink yourself down to the scale of molecules and wander through the tissues of a poisonous plant, you would discover tiny chemical guardians working silently to protect it. Among the most fascinating of these guardians are the alkaloids, a vast family of compounds created by plants to deter herbivores, defend leaves and roots, and shape delicate ecological interactions. Despite their potency, alkaloids emerge from an elegant, natural process, a chemical language whispered through stems, seeds, flowers, and roots. To understand alkaloids, imagine walking through a quiet woodland or meadow where many of these plants grow. Foxglove, nightshade, hemlock, datura, tobacco, and poppies all share this hidden chemistry, yet their outward appearances are soft, gentle, and often beautiful. Their blooms sway lightly in the wind, their leaves shimmer in the light, and nothing about them suggests the complexity unfolding beneath their surfaces. Their defenses are invisible, expressed not through thorns or armor, but through intricate molecules shaped over millions of years. Alkaloids are nitrogen containing compounds, and this simple element gives them their remarkable diversity. Some alkaloids stimulate the nervous system, some depress it, some block receptors, while others mimic natural neurotransmitters. Despite this complexity, their purpose is singular: to protect the plant quietly and efficiently. One of the most iconic alkaloids in nature is morphine, found in the opium poppy. In the plant, morphine acts as a mild deterrent to insects, making its seeds and sap less appealing. But in humans, this compound influences the nervous system in powerful ways. Morphine interacts with receptors designed to relieve pain, bringing calm and relaxation. Its relationship with humans is complicated, yet its origin is simple: a delicate bloom attempting to preserve its seeds through chemistry. Another well known alkaloid is nicotine, produced by tobacco plants as a precise and targeted insect defense. Nicotine binds to receptors in insect nervous systems, overwhelming them quickly. To us, however, its effects are different: stimulating, addictive, and deeply tied to human culture and history. When imagined within its natural context, nicotine becomes less a villain and more a highly effective tool created by a plant that cannot run or hide. Move deeper into the forest, and you may encounter a patch of deadly nightshade, also known as belladonna. Its dark berries shimmer like drops of ink, tempting but dangerous. Belladonna contains atropine, an alkaloid that blocks specific receptors in animals, altering vision and muscle control. Atropine evolved to deter herbivores, but humans discovered medical uses for it, from dilating pupils during eye examinations to treating certain poisonings. Even something labeled deadly can become healing when understood through science and balance. Further into the woodland, patches of hemlock may grow quietly in shaded areas. Its delicate, lacy leaves and tiny white flowers seem harmless, almost fragile. Yet hemlock contains coniine, a neurotoxic alkaloid that disrupts signaling between nerves and muscles. This compound evolved to protect the plant from grazing animals, especially those that might otherwise devour its tender stems. Coniine works with precision, making hemlock a potent but beautifully controlled example of alkaloid defense. But not all alkaloids are dramatic. Many work in subtle ways. Some protect seeds from mold, others deter only specific insect species. Some accumulate only in certain seasons. A plant may produce alkaloids in higher concentrations during drought, cold, or damage, a quiet adaptation to stress. Think of these compounds as whispers that grow louder only when needed. One of the softest stories of alkaloids is found in milkweed, which produces cardiac glycosides, compounds similar to some alkaloids in behavior. Monarch butterfly caterpillars feed exclusively on milkweed and store its toxins in their bodies. This does not harm the caterpillars. Instead, it protects them, making them unpalatable to predators. The bright orange wings of the adult monarch serve as a gentle warning. I carry the chemistry of the plant that raised me. This relationship is a beautiful example of how poisonous plants do not disrupt ecosystems but create harmony within them. Alkaloids also shape the behavior of animals in subtle ways. Some compounds cause mild discomfort rather than harm. For instance, the bitterness of many alkaloid rich leaves discourages herbivores from eating too much, allowing the plant to survive while still contributing to the diet of grazing creatures. This creates a natural balance, one that benefits both plant and animal. The creation of alkaloids is a slow and energy intensive process for plants. They invest precious resources into these molecules because the trade off is worth it: protection, longevity, survival. Some plants store alkaloids, mostly in their roots, to deter burrowing insects. Others place them in seeds to ensure the next generation survives. Some keep them in leaves to protect their most vulnerable tissues. Each plant strategizes in its own quiet way. Even their names carry soft echoes of their origins. Morphine from Morpheus, the Greek god of dreams. Atropine from Atropos, the fate who cut the thread of life. Nicotine from Jean Nicot, who introduced tobacco to France. Coniine from the Greek word koneon, meaning hemlock. These names remind us that alkaloids have shaped human culture and science as much as they have shaped ecosystems. But despite their powerful effects, alkaloids exist in plants with intention, not malice. They are quiet guardians, molecules formed out of necessity, working invisibly to protect delicate tissues from harm. Their presence in the world is balanced, thoughtful, intricate. If you were to sit quietly beside a patch of foxglove or along a path lined with nightshade, you might never guess the chemistry unfolding beneath the surface. The plants would sway softly in the breeze, their leaves catching the light, their colors gentle and serene. Nothing about them looks dangerous. Their beauty remains untouched by the complexity they contain. And perhaps that is the most calming truth about alkaloids, that something powerful can also be peaceful, that something potent can also be delicate, that nature expresses strength not through force, but through elegance. As you drift deeper into rest, let this awareness settle softly in your thoughts. You are surrounded by quiet chemists, plants whose molecules whisper rather than shout, protect rather than attack. and exist in harmony rather than chaos. Alkaloids are simply the forest's way of saying, this is how I survive, this is how I adapt, this is how I remain. And in learning about them, you join that rhythm, slow, steady, and deeply calm. In the quiet world of poisonous plants, some of the most delicate and intricate defenses are woven from molecules known as glycosides. These compounds are not loud or aggressive. Instead, they act with subtlety, precision, and a kind of serene efficiency. Glycosides are like tiny time release messages tucked inside leaves, seeds, and roots. They remain inactive until the moment they are needed, and only then do they reveal their hidden chemistry. Tonight, we explore these gentle yet powerful molecules, letting their slow science guide us deeper into rest. To understand glycosides, imagine holding a leaf in your hand. Its surface is soft, its veins faint, and its shape unassuming. But within its cells lies a treasure chest of carefully packaged molecules. Glycosides are formed when a sugar molecule is attached to a second compound, a structure that allows the plant to store potent chemicals safely, almost like keeping them folded inside a delicate envelope. Only when the leaf is damaged, chewed, crushed, or broken do enzymes release the active compound from its sugar partner. It is a patient defense system, awakened only when necessary. One of the most famous types of glycosides is the cardiac glycoside family, found in plants like foxglove, oleander, and milkweed. These molecules affect the movement of ions in heart cells, subtly altering rhythm and strength. In the plant, cardiac glycosides act as a deterrent to animals that might otherwise graze too heavily on its leaves. But their toxicity is not expressed with violence. Instead, it functions like a soft boundary, a gentle no whispered through chemistry. Consider foxglove or digitalis purpurea. Its tall spikes of purple blooms sway lightly, catching the attention of bees and hummingbirds. In its leaves, foxglove stores carefully measured amounts of digitalis glycosides. Only when an herbivore breaks the leaf tissue do these compounds fully activate. For humans, in controlled doses, these same molecules can help regulate heart rhythm, a reminder that even the most potent plant chemistry can reveal surprising gentleness when understood with respect and care. Another plant rich in glycosides is the oleander, often grown as an ornamental shrub. Its flowers are vibrant, symmetrical, and soothing to look at. Yet inside its stems and leaves, oleander holds oleandrin, a compound that protects the plant with extraordinary precision. Oleandrin deters grazing animals, but it also acts within the plant as a regulator, keeping its tissues safe from microbial attacks. In this way, glycosides serve not only as external defenses, but also as caretakers inside the plant's own cells. Glycosides appear in many forms. Cyanogenic glycosides, for instance, release tiny amounts of hydrogen cyanide when plant tissues are damaged. This type of glycoside is found in cassava, elderberries, apple seeds, and even clover. Their activation is swift but subtle, meant to deter insects and herbivores from taking too many bites. In safe, cooked, or properly processed forms, many of these plants become fundamental foods. The glycosides exist only to keep the plant's delicate parts safe long enough to grow and reproduce. What makes glycosides particularly fascinating is their duality. In the plant, they are guardians. In ecosystems, They create balance. In humans, under careful guidance, they can become medicines. Digitalis helps regulate heart rhythms. Some glycosides strengthen capillaries and support circulation. Others act as anti inflammatory agents or protect plant tissues from oxidation. These compounds remind us that nature rarely draws harsh boundaries. Instead, it offers gradients, chemistry that can harm or heal, depending on dose, preparation, and purpose. If you imagine walking through a meadow filled with milkweed, you may see monarch butterflies drifting gently above the plants. Monarch caterpillars feed exclusively on milkweed leaves, storing the plant's cardiac glycosides in their bodies. These toxins make the caterpillars, and later the adult butterflies, unappealing to predators. It is a gentle exchange. The plant provides chemistry, and the insect uses it as protection. This relationship is not hostile, it is harmonious. Milkweed does not mind losing a few leaves, and monarch caterpillars do not harm the plant. They coexist through chemistry, each benefiting in its own way. Another family of glycosides, the saponins, produces soap-like bubbles when shaken in water. These compounds deter insects and fungi by interfering with their cell membranes. Plants like horse chestnut, licorice, quinoa, and yucca use saponins as part of a broad, gentle defense system. Their presence means that even in a quiet forest or desert, a plant has a way of keeping harmful microorganisms at bay without needing thorns or toxins we would notice with our senses. Glycosides also play roles in plant communication. When a leaf is damaged, glycosides can break apart and release compounds that warn surrounding leaves or even nearby plants. This chemical signal encourages them to strengthen their defenses, producing more protective molecules or altering their growth. This form of communication is invisible but deeply elegant, like a soft murmur shared between neighbors on a quiet night. For plants, glycosides represent a careful balance of energy. They cost resources to produce, but they provide survival in return. Some plants generate more glycosides in the spring when new leaves are most vulnerable. Others increase production in times of drought or stress. The plant adjusts its chemistry in response to its environment, always seeking equilibrium. To truly appreciate glycosides, imagine watching a seedling grow. At first, it is small and tender, a vulnerable sprout with no armor except the chemical defenses inside its tissues. As it grows taller, broader, and stronger, glycosides remain part of its silent protection. They defend without aggression. They act without haste, and they remain tucked safely away within cells until the moment they are needed. Some of the gentlest examples come from plants that are not outwardly poisonous. Apple seeds contain tiny amounts of amygdalin, a cyanogenic glycoside. Clover contains linamarin. Lima beans contain compounds that require proper cooking to neutralize. None of these plants feel dangerous. Their glycosides simply exist as quiet reminders of the complexity beneath nature's surface. For humans, the study of glycosides has opened endless doors of understanding, not just of the plants themselves, but of our own biology. These molecules taught scientists about ion channels, enzyme reactions, cellular communication, and the delicate balance of chemical pathways that sustain life. Through glycosides, we learned how cells regulate electricity, how membranes manage pressure, and how tiny molecules can influence entire physiological systems. Yet, for all their complexity, glycosides remain peaceful parts of the plant's life. They sit within tissues like sleeping guardians. They awaken only when a leaf is torn or a seed is crushed. They protect the plant gently, efficiently, and without violence. And in a forest full of countless organisms, glycosides help maintain the harmony that keeps ecosystems stable. As you picture these molecules nestled inside leaves, seeds, and stems, imagine them not as threats, but as quiet caretakers, tiny protectors watching over the plant's slow, steady life. Their chemistry is intricate, but their purpose is simple: survival through softness. And as you drift deeper into rest, let this idea settle gently within you that even the smallest parts of nature work with intention, that strength can be subtle and quiet, and that protection can arise from the softest places. Glycosides are the forest's way of defending itself with grace, a reminder that nature's most powerful systems often work in silence. Poisonous plants do not announce their presence. They do not glow, roar, or reveal themselves through anything more than quiet chemistry. Their toxins live inside humble tissues, leaves that flutter softly in the wind, roots buried in darkness, seeds no larger than drops of rain. Tonight, we explore the subtle places where plant defenses hide, moving gently from leaf surface to underground roots, and finally to the tiny seeds that carry the future of each species. Each place holds a different story, a different strategy, and a different kind of beauty. Let's begin with the leaves, the most exposed part of a plant's body. Leaves are delicate structures, thin and full of nutrients, making them irresistible to insects and grazing animals. To protect themselves, many plants weave toxins into their leaf tissues. Yet these toxins are not evenly distributed. Some concentrate along the edges, where herbivores take their first bite. Others settle within the veins, hidden among channels that carry water and nutrients. Some plants even hide toxins inside tiny structures called trichomes, small hairs that break when touched, releasing irritating or deterrent compounds. Consider the euphorbia family, with leaves that ooze a milky latex when damaged. This sap contains diterpenes and other compounds that irritate skin and discourage herbivores. To the plant, this latex is a shield, sealing wounds and preventing infection. To the insects that attempt to feed on the leaves, it is a gentle reminder to look elsewhere for a meal. Another example is rhubarb, a plant known for its edible stalks but toxic leaves. Oxalic acid and anthraquinone glycosides give the leaves their defensive edge. For the plant, these molecules help regulate minerals and deter herbivores. For humans, they serve as a reminder that not everything green is meant to be eaten, a quiet boundary set by the plant. Some trees store toxins in their leaves seasonally. The black walnut tree, for instance, produces juglone, a compound that seeps into surrounding soil and prevents competing plants from growing too close. This chemical does not harm the tree itself, but helps maintain space for its roots. Even in toxicity, there is method, a gentle shaping of the forest landscape. From leaves, we descend slowly into the roots, where many poisonous plants hide their most potent defenses. Roots grow in darkness, surrounded by fungi, insects, bacteria, and burrowing animals. To survive underground, plants often accumulate chemicals that deter these organisms. Take mandrake, a plant from European folklore. Its roots, shaped like twisted limbs, contain alkaloids such as hyoscyamine and scopolamine. These compounds protect the root from decay, pests, and consumption. The root's strange shape and toxicity gave rise to stories of magic and danger, yet its chemistry is simply a natural adaptation to life beneath the soil. Another example is aconite, also known as monkshood or wolfsbane. Its roots contain aconitine, a powerful alkaloid that interferes with nerve signaling. In the plant's perspective, aconitine ensures that burrowing animals leave the root undisturbed. In ecosystems with heavy grazing or digging activity, plants like aconite survive because of these quiet chemical boundaries. Roots also store toxins used for long-term protection. The cassava plant's roots contain cyanogenic glycosides, which release small amounts of cyanide when damaged. Indigenous cultures learned ways to detoxify cassava, transforming it into a staple food. The plant's chemistry is not meant to harm, but to safeguard itself from pests long enough to produce seeds. Speaking of seeds, we now move to the smallest yet often most concentrated source of plant toxins, the seeds themselves. Seeds are the future of the plant, tiny containers holding everything needed for a new life. Because they are so valuable, they are often heavily defended. Look at apple seeds, small and unassuming. They contain amygdalin, a compound that can break down into hydrogen cyanide when crushed. The amount is small, not enough to harm humans in realistic quantities, but it discourages insects from chewing through the seeds. The apple, sweet and inviting, attracts animals that will eat the fruit and disperse the seeds intact, but the seed itself remains protected. In castor beans, the seed coat holds ricin, one of the most famous plant toxins. Yet ricin does not exist to threaten large animals. It evolved to defend the seed from insects and microbes. The castor plant depends on these seeds to reproduce, so it protects them with formidable chemistry. Other plants use toxins in seeds to influence their dispersal. Strychnine tree seeds, for example, contain the alkaloid strychnine. This compound tastes intensely bitter, encouraging animals to abandon the seed quickly, leaving it in the soil where it may sprout. In this way, the bitterness becomes part of the seed's survival strategy, not a punishment, but a way of guiding behavior. In grasses and grains, some seeds produce mild toxins only under stress. These compounds deter fungal infection and seed predators during drought or nutrient scarcity. When conditions improve, toxin production decreases. This dynamic system shows that toxicity is not static. It responds to the environment in soft, adaptive waves. Some seeds protect themselves chemically through heat labial toxins, compounds that break down when exposed to high temperatures. This strategy encourages fire-dependent germination. Seeds remain safe in the soil during low-intensity wildfires, and their toxins degrade, allowing them to sprout in the nutrient-rich ash. The forest regenerates because the seeds survived, safeguarded by chemistry. But toxins are not limited to leaves, roots, and seeds. They also appear in stems, bark, latex, flowers, and even pollen. Yet each location serves a purpose. Leaf toxins discourage herbivores. Root toxins prevent burrowing damage. Seed toxins protect the next generation. The plant designs its chemistry with intention, placing its strongest defenses where they are most needed. What makes this system so calming to learn about is how precisely balanced it is. Plants do not become toxic for aggression. They become toxic for survival, and only in the doses necessary. Many poisonous plants are harmless unless consumed or damaged. Some release their chemistry only when provoked. Others store toxins in specific tissues to conserve energy. This efficiency reflects millions of years of gentle refinement. Imagine walking through a forest where poisonous plants live quietly among harmless ones. Their leaves shimmer in the same sunlight. Their roots drink the same water. Their seeds fall to the same soil. Yet each carries a unique strategy, a molecular story hidden beneath its surface. Every plant participates in a larger symphony of survival, shaping ecosystems through subtle signals. Poisonous plants contribute to biodiversity by creating niches, influencing which animals graze where, and ensuring that no single species dominates the landscape. Their presence promotes variety, stability, and equilibrium, qualities that keep forests thriving. In many ways, toxicity is a conversation. A plant whispers to grazers through bitterness. It signals insects through aroma. It shapes soil chemistry with quiet precision. It adjusts its molecules based on the seasons. And through these whispers, ecosystems maintain harmony. As you let these thoughts drift through your mind, imagine the deep calm of a forest at dusk. Leaves sway softly, roots anchor themselves in silence, seeds wait patiently beneath the soil. Each part of the plant world is working, not with haste or urgency, but with steady, ancient wisdom. Let that wisdom guide your breath. Let it soften your thoughts. Let it draw you deeper into rest. Because even in the most hidden poisons, nature moves with gentleness. If you were to wander slowly through a forest, a meadow, or even a quiet garden at dusk, you might notice aromas drifting through the air, soft, earthy scents, subtle floral notes, or the faint bitterness of crushed leaves. You might also catch glimpses of vivid colors, deep purples, luminous yellows, glossy reds, or matte greens that seem to absorb the light. To us, these scents and colors feel gentle, calming, or beautiful. But to poisonous plants, they serve as an intricate language of protection, a quiet, sensory shield against danger. Tonight, we explore how plants use aroma and color to defend themselves, communicate with their environments, and shape the behavior of the creatures around them. These strategies are not loud or aggressive. Rather, they are some of the softest and most elegant forms of plant defense. Let's begin with scent, one of the most ancient and subtle forms of communication in the plant kingdom. Many plants produce aromatic compounds, essential oils, terpenes, alkaloids, phenolics that drift through the air or sit concentrated in leaves, bark, or flowers. These scents can attract pollinators, warn predators, or mask the plant's presence altogether. All of this unfolds without sound, without movement, without struggle, just molecules rising into the air, quietly influencing the world. Consider the eucalyptus tree. Its leaves release a distinctive, cooling aroma rich in eucalyptol, a compound that deters many herbivores and microbes. To humans, this scent feels refreshing and calming. To insects and animals, it signals this leaf may not be safe to eat. The tree's chemistry does two things at once. It heals the tree and soothes us. Another example is wormwood, the plant that inspired the legendary drink absinthe. Its gray-green leaves hold bitter, aromatic oils that discourage grazing. When the wind passes through a patch of wormwood, it carries these molecules into the air, creating a protective aura around the plant. The scent may smell dry or herbal to humans, but to insects, it is a warning, a soft barrier designed to maintain the plant's safety. Some poisonous plants use aroma in extremely targeted ways. The hemlock water dropwort, for instance, gives off a subtle scent that attracts flies and other insects that help pollinate it. Despite its toxicity, the plant communicates gently with the insects it depends on, inviting them closer with the aroma, even as it wards off herbivores with potent root compounds. A more dramatic example is datura, also known as Jimson weed or moonflower. Its large, trumpet-shaped blooms release a sweet, hypnotic scent at night. This aroma attracts nocturnal pollinators, particularly moths, guiding them to the plant's nectar. But datura also contains powerful tropane alkaloids in its leaves and seeds. Its fragrance is inviting. Its chemistry is defensive. Both elements work together in perfect balance, shaping the plant's quiet role in the nighttime ecosystems it inhabits. Not all aromatic defenses are meant to repel. Some scents are designed to confuse or distract. Wild parsnip, for example, produces compounds that interfere with the feeding behavior of certain insects. These compounds do not kill or harm directly. Instead, they subtly alter the insect's instincts, guiding them away from the plant's delicate tissues. The plant uses chemistry like a gentle nudge rather than a forceful push. Other poisonous plants rely on color, visual signals that act as delicate yet effective warnings. These signals are not always meant for us. They evolved to communicate with the animals that share the plant's habitat. Bright colors often indicate chemical defenses. Deep reds, vivid purples, or unusually dark berries can signal danger. Neon greens, intense yellows, and high contrast patterns can serve as visual boundaries. Consider the rosary pea plant. Its seeds are striking, glossy red with a single black spot. Their appearance is almost ornamental, yet inside them lies abrin, one of the most potent plant toxins known. The brilliant coloration warns animals and humans not to eat them. The plant does not need thorns or bitterness when color alone can send the message. Another example is nightshade, whose berries shift from green to deep purple or glossy black. To some birds, these colors indicate ripeness and safety, allowing the plant's seeds to be carried far through the forest. To mammals, however, the colors signal toxicity. This double communication shows how color is not simply decoration. It is a refined language shaped by millions of years of coevolution. Even flowers use color defensively. Oleander blooms in soft pinks, whites, and reds, but its entire structure, from its sap to its leaves, contains cardiac glycosides. The beautiful blossoms attract pollinators, while the rest of the plant remains protected from herbivores. Color becomes both an invitation and a barrier, performing multiple roles at once. Some plants use mimicry, adopting the appearance of more dangerous species to avoid being eaten. This is a visual deterrence that costs far less energy than producing potent toxins. A plant may develop stripes, patterns, or leaf shapes that resemble species known to be toxic. To grazers, the resemblance is enough. Even if the plant has mild or no toxins, its illusion keeps it safe. Others take the opposite approach, using camouflage to hide rather than warn. Toxic plants like arum or hellebore often blend seamlessly into the underbrush, their muted greens and browns masking their chemical potency. Their strategy is invisibility, allowing them to avoid attention entirely. What's remarkable is that scent and color often work together. A plant may release a bitter aroma as an herbivore approaches, while also displaying high contrast coloration on stems or seeds. Or it may hide visually yet release volatile compounds when damaged. Every poisonous plant designs its own combination of defenses depending on the threats it encounters in its native habitat. These sensory signals are not hostile, they are protective. They allow plants to survive without harming more than necessary. They communicate boundaries without needing movement or sound, and in doing so, they create a landscape filled with rich scents and graceful colors that we often interpret as beauty, not defense. Imagine now walking through a forest where both scents and colors blend into a soft tapestry. The faint bitterness of crushed leaves, the sweetness of nighttime flowers, the bright flash of berries on a branch, the deep, calming greens of shaded plants. Everything feels peaceful. Everything feels balanced. These defenses, though hidden in plain sight, are part of what makes the forest feel alive. They guide insects, animals, and even other plants. They regulate which creatures feed where. They shape the ecology of entire habitats. Toxicity, woven through scent and color, is part of the forest's quiet choreography. A choreography that unfolds day after day, season after season. As you settle deeper into rest, imagine the air around you filled with gentle plant fragrances, cooling eucalyptus, sweet datura, earthy wormwood. Imagine deep green leaves, soft purple blooms, and tiny bright seeds glistening in the light. These sensations are not warnings, they are invitations to see the world differently, to understand how plants protect themselves softly, beautifully, and with quiet intelligence. Let these images and scents float through your mind like a breeze moving through a garden at dusk. Let them calm your breath, let them slow your thoughts, and know that even the most poisonous plants express their power with elegance, not aggression. In the quiet world of forests, meadows, deserts, and wetlands, poisonous plants do not stand alone. They share their habitats with animals, large and small, cautious and curious, who have learned, over countless generations, how to move gracefully around these chemical defenses. Some avoid toxic plants entirely, guided by instinct or learned behavior. Some feed on them delicately, taking only what they can tolerate. And a few, remarkable in their adaptations, depend on poisonous plants for survival, weaving toxicity into their own biology. Tonight, we explore these relationships softly, the way they unfold in nature, without conflict, without haste, and always with quiet purpose. Let's begin with one of the most iconic partnerships between animals and poisonous plants, the bond between monarch butterflies and milkweed. Milkweed leaves contain cardiac glycosides, potent compounds that deter most herbivores. Yet monarch caterpillars feed on these leaves exclusively. Instead of being harmed, the caterpillars store the toxins in their bodies, gaining protection from predators. Birds learn not to eat monarch caterpillars, and later, adult butterflies, because the toxins cause discomfort. The bright orange wings of the monarch become a gentle warning, a signal of chemical strength borrowed from the plant. This relationship is not one sided. Milkweed plants benefit from monarchs as pollinators, especially during their long migrations. What appears dangerous becomes instead a delicate exchange, a soft dance between chemistry and survival. Another fascinating example is the poison dart frog. These frogs, found in Central and South American rainforests, derive their skin toxins from the insects they eat, insects that feed on poisonous plants. The plants, in turn, absorb alkaloids and other compounds that begin this chemical chain. The frogs do not create their toxins, they borrow them. In captivity, when given non toxic diets, the frogs lose their chemical defenses entirely. Their toxicity is a gift from the forest itself. Animals and poisonous plants interact in subtle ways that demonstrate nature's elegance. Consider the koala, a creature famous for feeding on eucalyptus leaves. Eucalyptus is rich in aromatic oils and compounds that can be toxic in large quantities. Yet koalas have specialized livers capable of breaking down these chemicals. Their slow metabolism and careful feeding behavior prevent them from consuming more toxins than their bodies can handle. They eat only certain eucalyptus species and choose leaves with lower toxin levels depending on the season. Even their sense of smell helps them detect chemical changes in the leaves. In this way, koalas and eucalyptus trees maintain a quiet equilibrium. The tree remains protected and the koala finds nourishment. Similarly, wood rats in North America feed on plants like juniper and creosote bush, both of which contain potent defensive compounds. Over time, wood rats developed specialized gut microbes that help detoxify these plants. Their relationship with their food is not adversarial, it is evolutionary cooperation shaped slowly over millennia. Some insects use toxic plants as nurseries for their young. The tiger moth lays eggs on poisonous plants, whose leaves provide both food and chemical protection. The caterpillars absorb the toxins into their tissues and use them to deter predators. Like monarchs, they advertise their toxicity through bright colors, a soft visual message that says, I am not safe to eat. Even birds have learned to coexist with poisonous plants. Certain species of grosbeaks, for example, can eat the seeds of plants that contain cyanogenic glycosides or mild alkaloids. Their digestive systems process these compounds safely. Meanwhile, other birds instinctively avoid these seeds, recognizing their bitterness as a warning. These feeding behaviors shape which plants spread their seeds and which remain untouched. Some animals actively use poisonous plants for their own purposes. The blue-capped ifrit, a bird native to New Guinea, incorporates toxic beetles, which feed on poisonous plants, into its diet. The toxins then accumulate in the bird's feathers, offering protection from predators. Even in the animal world, toxicity becomes a shared language, a chemical signal exchanged across species. In deserts, where resources are scarce, certain animals rely on poisonous plants as exclusive food sources. The desert wood rat, for instance, can eat creosote bush leaves rich in resinous toxins that deter most other herbivores. To survive, the wood rat's liver produces enzymes that break down these chemicals. Its ability to digest dangerous plants helps regulate competition in its habitat, allowing multiple species to coexist. In tropical forests, sloths feed on leaves from plants that contain mild toxins. Their extremely slow metabolism gives their bodies more time to detoxify the compounds. Their relaxed pace of life, the gentle, unhurried rhythm of their movement, is closely linked to the chemistry of the plants they consume. Some animals even use poisonous plants medicinally. Chimpanzees have been observed chewing the bitter leaves of certain plants to alleviate digestive discomfort or expel parasites. These plants contain toxins in small amounts, enough to affect parasites, but not enough to harm the chimpanzee. Elephants, too, seek out specific toxic plants when preparing to give birth, suggesting a deep, intuitive understanding of botanical chemistry. Poisonous plants also shape the migration patterns of animals. In some regions, grazing species follow seasonal paths that help them avoid plants with high toxin levels during certain times of year. The animal's instincts become intertwined with the chemical rhythms of the landscape. Even the behavior of herbivores reflects this relationship. Many grazing animals sample small amounts of plants before fully consuming them, allowing their bodies to detect toxicity early. Some species develop preferences based on taste. Bitterness often indicates the presence of alkaloids or glycosides. Over time, these feeding patterns help maintain balance in plant communities. This balance can be seen in grasslands where loco weeds grow. These plants contain swainsinine, a toxin that affects the nervous system. Most animals avoid them after a single experience, but some species tolerate low levels, using the plants as occasional food sources when others are scarce. This selective feeding prevents loco weeds from dominating the landscape while allowing them to persist as part of the ecosystem. Poisonous plants also influence shelter and nesting behavior. Some birds line their nests with aromatic leaves from mildly toxic plants. These leaves repel parasites and provide a clean environment for chicks. Starlings, for example, bring fresh, strongly scented plants into their nests after the eggs hatch, subtly improving survival rates. Throughout all these interactions, one theme emerges. Poisonous plants do not seek to harm animals. Their chemistry is not aggressive, it is protective, a quiet shield, and animals respond not with fear or hostility, but with adaptation, learning, and balance. In ecosystems around the world, toxic plants and animals live together not as adversaries, but as partners in a shared environment. Their relationships are built on respect, intuition, and slow evolutionary shifts. Nothing is rushed. Nothing is wasted. Everything has a purpose. As you imagine these interactions, monarch caterpillars resting on soft milkweed leaves, koalas nestled in eucalyptus branches, frogs shimmering with borrowed toxins, birds protecting their nests with fragrant plants. Let the harmony of these relationships guide your mind into calmness. Each interaction is gentle. Each adaptation is patient. Each moment is part of a larger conversation written in chemistry. Poisonous plants and animals have coexisted for millions of years, creating ecosystems full of quiet complexity. Their exchanges are soft reminders that balance is possible, even when defenses are strong. Let that sense of balance bring ease to your breathing. Let it soften your thoughts, and let it carry you deeper into rest, where the forest's chemistry continues its calm and ancient rhythm in the background of your dreams. For as long as humans have walked through forests, meadows, and mountains, we have been surrounded by plants whose chemistry far preceded our existence. Long before science learned to label molecules or map metabolic pathways, people were already quietly observing the world around them, noticing which plants healed, which harmed, and which held mysteries worth respecting. The relationship between humans and poisonous plants is ancient and intricate, woven from curiosity, caution, intuition, and deep study. Tonight, we explore this relationship gently, moving through time as softly as leaves drifting on a slow stream. It began with simple observation. Early humans noticed how animals reacted to different plants, which leaves were avoided, which berries birds ate safely, which roots caused discomfort. Over generations, these observations formed a kind of natural wisdom, passed down in stories and chants, woven into rituals and daily life. Poisonous plants became neither feared nor worshipped, but understood. They were powerful beings in the landscape, deserving of attention. One of the earliest recorded uses of poisonous plants comes from ancient Sumerian and Egyptian civilizations, where scribes documented the effects of certain herbs and extracts. Some were used to ease pain, others to calm the mind. Some were used in rituals, ceremonies, or burial practices. Plants like henbane, mandrake, and opium poppy appeared in these early writings, their chemistry already recognized, though not yet scientifically explained. In ancient Greece, physicians and philosophers studied poisonous plants with careful curiosity. Theophrastus, often considered the father of botany, described plants like hemlock, hellebore, and aconite with meticulous detail. Hippocrates used small doses of certain toxic plants in his treatments, understanding that potency could become medicine when guided by knowledge. Even Socrates, whose life ended by drinking a cup of hemlock extract, became part of the cultural memory surrounding plant toxicity, a reminder of nature's power, quiet, and absolute. But not all uses were dramatic. Many cultures developed gentle, controlled relationships with poisonous plants. In small amounts, certain compounds became tools, easing pain, reducing inflammation, calming the nervous system, or treating specific ailments. The difference between harm and healing lay not in the plant, but in the dose, the preparation, and the intention. Take willow bark, for instance. Though not considered a toxic plant in the traditional sense, its chemistry contains salixin, a compound that can cause discomfort when consumed in excess. Early herbalists learned to brew the bark into tea, reducing fevers and soothing pain. Thousands of years later, this knowledge inspired the creation of aspirin, a modern medicine born from gentle plant chemistry. Another example is mandrake, whose roots contain tropane alkaloids, also found in plants like datura and belladonna. In ancient Europe and the Middle East, healers used mandrake in small amounts for sedation or anesthesia. Its root, human-shaped and mysterious, gathered folklore. But beneath the stories lay real chemical understanding, refined slowly over centuries. In India, the Ayurvedic tradition incorporated certain toxic plants into highly specialized remedies. With careful processing, boiling, fermenting, drying, or mixing with other herbs, healers transformed dangerous chemicals into therapeutic allies. The respect for these plants was profound. They were treated not as enemies, but as complex teachers whose power required patience. China, too, developed an intricate relationship with poisonous plants. Traditional Chinese medicine, TCM, used small controlled doses of aconite root after meticulous detoxification. This process neutralized the plant's most harmful alkaloids while preserving its warming, stimulating qualities. The preparation took time and precision, a quiet ritual of chemistry that demonstrated deep understanding of plant behavior. Indigenous cultures across the world also learned to work with toxic plants in harmony. In the Amazon rainforest, healers used knowledge passed through generations to identify plants with extraordinary potency. Some plants induced visions during spiritual ceremonies. Others treated infections or inflammation. The forest itself became a living library, and its poisonous plants were among its most guarded volumes. In North America, indigenous peoples used the mayapple plant carefully. Its roots contain podophyllitoxin, a compound that can be dangerous but also became the basis for important cancer medications in modern medicine. The knowledge of how to use mayapple responsibly, when to harvest it, how to prepare it, what ailments it could address, was learned through centuries of observation and experience. Even in medieval Europe, where superstition mingled with medicine, toxic plants found their place. Monks in monastery gardens cultivated foxglove, henbane, and hellebore, using them in treatments under strict guidelines. Although knowledge was imperfect, the intention was the same: to use nature's strongest chemistry gently. With time, humanity's understanding deepened. The birth of modern pharmacology brought scientific language to ancient wisdom. Researchers isolated active compounds, studied their effects on cells, mapped their shapes and functions, and learned how to modify them into medicines. Foxglove's digitalis glycosides became heart treatments. Yew tree bark gave rise to Taxol, a powerful cancer therapy. Even compounds once feared, like atropine or scopolamine, became essential tools in surgery and emergency medicine. As science advanced, we discovered that many poisonous compounds act with remarkable precision. Some target ion channels, others affect neurotransmitters, some interfere with protein synthesis, some mimic natural molecules in the body, fitting into receptors like keys and locks. The elegance of their chemistry revealed why plants developed them in the first place: to protect themselves with specificity, not brute force. But modern science also learned to respect boundaries. Many poisonous plants still require extreme caution. Their compounds can be dangerous if misused, mismeasured, or taken without proper knowledge. The lesson remains: nature's strongest gifts demand care. Yet in this balance, something beautiful emerges: a deep partnership between humans and the natural world. Poisonous plants, once misunderstood or feared, become part of our healing, our stories, our understanding of biology. They teach us how cells function, how signals flow, how life protects itself. They remind us that danger and healing often share the same root, that the world is not divided into good or bad, safe or unsafe. Instead, it is full of gradients, harmonies, and quiet transformations. Imagine now sitting gently beside a patch of foxglove, its tall purple bells swaying in the breeze, or standing before a yew tree, its dark needles and red berries holding centuries of knowledge. These plants do not seek to harm, they simply are what they are: complex beings shaped by evolution, offering chemistry that humans learn to interpret over time. Let this story settle softly within you. It is a story of curiosity, a story of patience, a story of respect. Humanity's relationship with poisonous plants is not one of fear, but of understanding, a slow unfolding of knowledge across generations. And as you drift deeper into rest, you may feel connected to this continuity, this ancient conversation between people and plants that has guided us quietly through time. In the quiet cycles of the natural world, seasons rise and fall with gentle inevitability. The forest warms, cools, blooms, ripens, sleeps, and wakes again. As these transformations unfold, the chemistry of plants shifts with them, including the potency, distribution, and purpose of their toxins. Poisonous plants are not static. Their defenses breathe with the seasons, adjusting to temperature, light, rainfall, and the rhythms of the creatures that share their habitat. Tonight, we explore how plant toxicity changes from spring to summer, from autumn to winter, and how these subtle fluctuations create balance in ecosystems. Let us begin with spring, the season of awakening. In early spring, plant tissues are young, tender, and full of nutrients. New leaves contain high concentrations of proteins, sugars, and minerals, precisely the things herbivores seek after a long winter. Because of this vulnerability, many poisonous plants increase their toxin levels during spring. This early surge protects new growth, giving the plant time to expand and strengthen before hungry animals arrive. Think of young foxglove leaves, which hold higher concentrations of cardiac glycosides before the plant flowers, or emerging shoots of lupine, rich in alkaloids that deter grazing animals from snapping them up. Even mild plants like bracken fern increase their protective compounds in spring, defending their unfurling fronds. In some species, the spring air itself intensifies toxicity. Plants like poison hemlock and water hemlock accumulate their most potent compounds during early growth, when soft stems are most tempting to herbivores. The toxins concentrate in different layers: roots, young shoots, or early leaves, strategically placed where protection is most needed. Spring is also when some plants use toxicity to compete for space. The black walnut, for instance, releases juglone into the soil during its growth phase, reducing the ability of nearby species to sprout. This chemical strategy gives the walnut tree the room it needs to stretch its branches into the warming sky. But even in this heightened state, the plant's chemistry is calm, methodical, and never excessive. The toxins exist only as long as necessary, tapering as the plant matures. As spring transitions into summer, the plant's priorities shift. Summer brings intense sunlight, long days, and flourishing life. Many plants reduce their toxin levels during this time because their leaves have matured and become less vulnerable. A mature leaf is tougher, less palatable, and structurally stronger. It does not require the same chemical defense as its younger version. In some species, toxins migrate within the plant. For example, oleander may shift more glycosides into stems or roots when summer temperatures rise. This relocation helps the plant conserve energy while still maintaining protection where it matters most. Other plants use summer as a time to protect their reproductive structures. Nightshade berries, for example, develop their highest toxin levels when green and unripe, ensuring that animals do not eat them too early. But as they ripen and turn vibrant colors, their toxicity decreases, inviting birds to eat them and spread their seeds. This chemical timing is delicate, purposeful, and precisely aligned with the rhythm of the season. Summer also changes the aromas of plants. Warm air intensifies the release of essential oils. In species like eucalyptus, sagebrush, and wormwood, these aromatic compounds help deter herbivores and reduce water loss. What we perceive as soothing, fragrant air is part of the plant's summer strategy, a soft chemical shield against both heat and hungry mouths. As the heat of summer gives way to the soft coolness of autumn, plant chemistry transforms once again. Autumn is the season of preparation. Plants channel their energy into fruits, seeds, and roots. As days shorten and temperatures fall, some plants increase their toxin concentrations, while others decrease them, depending on their survival needs. Seeds, for instance, are often at their most toxic in autumn. They hold the next generation, and their protection becomes a priority. Apple seeds, cherry pits, castor beans, and rosary peas all maintain or increase their chemical defenses during this season. Bitter tastes and bright warning colors signal that the seeds must not be eaten prematurely. Roots also become chemical reservoirs. Plants like aconite and mandrake concentrate toxins underground as they prepare for winter dormancy. These stored compounds protect the roots from decay, soil microorganisms, and burrowing animals during the cold months ahead. Leaves, in contrast, often become less toxic in autumn, partly because they are about to fall, and partly because the plant has less need to defend tissues it no longer requires. The changing colors of autumn leaves result from pigments replacing chlorophyll, not from toxins. Yet the soft transformation from green to gold, red, or brown signals a shift from active defense to quiet release. Autumn is a transitional moment where toxins retreat into safe places, waiting for the world to cool. And then comes winter, the season of stillness. Winter strips forests down to their bare structure. Many plants enter dormancy, their metabolic processes slowing to a whisper. Toxicity behaves differently now. Some poisonous plants become less dangerous because their chemical production halts. Others become more concentrated, not because they are producing toxins, but because water content decreases, making existing compounds more potent per gram of tissue. Evergreens, such as yews and hollies, maintain their toxic molecules throughout winter. Their needles and berries remain defended, preserving energy stores for the cold months. The red berries of holly, for instance, remain visually striking, an important winter food for certain birds, while still containing mild toxins that prevent overconsumption. Roots are especially important in winter. Underground, the plant's life continues, protected by toxic layers that deter animals searching for food. In this season, animals must be more selective. Bitter tastes become even more crucial as indicators. Many herbivores instinctively avoid plants with strong chemical signatures during winter scarcity. For some species, winter is when toxicity is at its lowest. Plants like buttercups or nettles lose potency after frost. For others, winter represents quiet concentration, a time when toxins gather in roots or seeds, preserved like carefully stored medicine for the plant's own survival. Across all seasons, the interplay between climate and chemistry remains steady, gentle, and deeply intelligent. Spring defends new life. Summer balances growth and reproduction. Autumn prepares and stores. Winter preserves and protects. Each shift is soft, gradual, and perfectly timed. These changes ripple through ecosystems. Animals adjust their diets based on seasonal toxicity patterns. Birds choose certain seeds only after toxins decline. Insects wait for leaves to mature before feeding. Fungi break down fallen leaves, whose chemical defenses have weakened. Even soil microbes respond to seasonal chemistry. Everything is connected. Everything moves in rhythm. Everything breathes together. As you imagine these seasonal transformations, picture the forest changing in slow motion, green buds emerging, flowers opening, berries ripening, leaves turning, snow falling, roots resting, and beneath every change, plant toxins shift like quiet tides, rising, falling, migrating, or sleeping. Let these rhythms lull you deeper into calmness. Let the seasonal cycles mirror your own breath, gentle, continuous, unhurried. Nature teaches us that change does not need to be abrupt. It can be soft, it can be balanced, it can be peaceful. When we think of poisonous plants, our minds often drift toward the idea of danger, potent chemicals, hidden risks, a need for caution. Yet in the natural world, toxicity is not framed in fear. It is part of the profound balance that keeps ecosystems functioning with quiet harmony. Poisonous plants are not villains. They are guardians, teachers, and participants in a delicate equilibrium shaped by millions of years of interaction. Tonight, we explore the emotional and ecological balance between danger and beauty, revealing how both coexist seamlessly in nature. Imagine walking slowly through a tranquil forest at dusk. The air is cool, the light soft, the earth beneath your feet cushioned by moss and fallen leaves. The trees stand tall and steady, their branches swaying lightly in the breeze. Around you, plants of every kind create a lush, diverse tapestry. Some are harmless, some medicinal, some nourishing, and some contain toxins. Yet nothing feels threatening. Instead, everything feels whole, connected, and peaceful. This peacefulness is a reflection of how toxicity truly works. In nature, danger is rarely loud or aggressive. It is subtle, purposeful, and proportional. Plants do not produce toxins to harm indiscriminately. They do so to maintain their place in the world, to survive grazing, deter insects, discourage pathogens, or influence the behavior of animals. Their chemistry is precise. Their presence is soft. Beauty and danger intertwine quietly in many species. Consider the foxglove plant, its tall blooms rising like pastel towers among the greenery. Its flowers invite pollinators with gentle curves and soft colors, while its leaves store powerful cardiac glycosides. To a human eye, foxglove is stunning. To herbivores, it is a plant with clear boundaries. Through its beauty and its chemistry, foxglove holds space in an ecosystem without causing disruption. Or think of the oleander, its blossoms vivid pink or white, delicate as watercolor petals. Beneath this elegance lies oleandrin, a compound that protects the plant from browsing animals. The beauty of the bloom and the toxicity of the leaf are not opposites. They are two sides of the same story, working together to help the plant thrive. Even modest plants blend charm and caution with equal grace. The lily of the valley produces small, bell-shaped flowers with a sweet, calming fragrance. Its appearance is gentle, its scent soothing. Yet every part of the plant contains cardiac glycosides similar to those found in foxglove. To humans, the plant's beauty inspires poetry and symbolism. To nature, its toxins ensure that the delicate stalks remain untouched by grazing animals. Beauty is rarely accidental in poisonous plants. Bright berries, striking colors, and intricate shapes often evolved to serve a purpose, to attract specific animals, warn others, or guide behavior. Nightshade berries, glossy and dark, draw certain birds that can safely eat them, spreading the seeds. At the same time, their deep coloration signals caution to mammals who may be harmed by the alkaloids within. One plant, two audiences, one elegant solution. This balance extends far beyond individual species. Poisonous plants influence entire ecosystems. They prevent overgrazing in certain areas, allowing other plants to grow. They create microhabitats where insects and animals find shelter or food. They shape migration patterns, pollination routes, and soil chemistry. Their presence maintains diversity, preventing any single species from dominating. Through their defenses, poisonous plants provide space for countless other organisms: fungi, mosses, insects, birds, mammals. By protecting themselves, they protect the ecosystem from imbalance. Danger in this context is not negative, it is boundary setting. Beauty, too, is not superficial, it is communication, and both exist together quietly. On a deeper level, poisonous plants teach us about perspective. A plant considered deadly in one context may be medicinal in another. A compound that harms one species may leave another entirely unaffected. Toxicity is relative, shaped by biology, dosage, preparation, and purpose. The yew tree illustrates this beautifully. Its needles and seeds contain toxic alkaloids that deter herbivores. Yet the red arils, the fleshy cups around the seeds, are harmless to many birds. Birds eat the bright red fruits, swallow the intact seeds, and spread them through the forest. Meanwhile, humans discovered that the bark of the Pacific yew contains paclitaxel, one of the most important cancer medications ever developed. A tree once feared became a healer. The line between poison and medicine is thin, and nature does not draw it sharply. Plants simply offer chemistry. The meaning of that chemistry depends on who encounters it and how. Even highly toxic species like aconitum, the striking purple monkshood, reveal this balance. Its flowers attract pollinators, supporting insect populations. Its toxins deter herbivores, allowing the plant to survive. Its presence enriches the diversity of the habitats where it grows. Whether seen as dangerous or beautiful depends entirely on the viewer. This duality mirrors life itself: strength and vulnerability, caution and curiosity, danger and beauty, all exist together, not as opposites, but as partners in balance. Poisonous plants embody this truth with extraordinary grace. Their presence encourages mindfulness, respect, awareness, patience. To walk among poisonous plants is to be reminded that nature is full of nuance, that nothing is purely one thing, that everything exists in gradients, gentle shifts between safety and caution, attraction and warning, growth and protection. As you imagine these plants now, foxglove swaying in a soft breeze, oleander glowing in sunlight, nightshade berries shining like small dark lanterns. Notice how calming they look. Their colors are soothing. Their forms are elegant. Their movement is peaceful. Nothing about them screams danger, because their purpose is not violence, it is survival. And in the larger web of life, their presence is essential. They shape ecosystems not through force, but through quiet influence, through molecules we cannot see, through signals we rarely notice, through beauty that draws us closer, and boundaries that remind us to tread gently. Let this understanding settle softly into your thoughts. Nature is balanced. Nature is nuanced. Nature is patient. There is beauty in protection. There is wisdom in boundaries. There is peace in understanding complexity. As you drift deeper into stillness, allow the balance of danger and beauty in nature to guide your mind gently toward rest. Let it remind you that the world is full of soft connections, some visible, some hidden, all working together in harmony. The forest, the meadow, the wetland, the desert, every landscape holds plants whose chemistry tells stories far older than us. Stories written without words, spoken only through molecules, colors, scents, and subtle interactions. Stories where danger and beauty walk side by side, never in conflict, always in balance. Tonight, you've listened to one of these stories, and now, with your breath softening and your thoughts becoming distant, let that story fade into a quiet sense of calm, the perfect place for sleep to begin. As our quiet walk through the gentle science of poisonous plants comes to an end, allow the calmness of everything you've heard tonight to settle softly around you. You've traveled through gardens, forests, meadows, and ancient traditions. You've explored molecules hidden in leaves, secrets tucked into roots, and quiet defenses stored within seeds. You've witnessed how beauty and danger coexist, how fragrance and color communicate, and how nature protects itself with patience rather than force. Through each chapter, you've seen that poisonous plants are not symbols of fear, they are symbols of balance. They show us that strong boundaries can exist alongside gentleness, that powerful chemistry can live within delicate petals, and that the natural world holds complexity without chaos. These plants have shaped ecosystems, guided animals, inspired medicines, and taught humans for thousands of years. And yet, when viewed in stillness, they simply sway in the wind like any other living thing, peaceful, grounded, harmonious. As you settle into the quiet of this moment, imagine the world of poisonous plants growing dim around you. The foxglove lowers its bells. The nightshade berries fade into shadow. The oleander blossoms fold into the dark. Everything becomes soft, unhurried, ready for rest. You are safe. You are calm. You are drifting gently. Let the soft chemistry of nature guide your breath, loosen your thoughts, and carry you deeper into sleep. If dreams come, let them be peaceful, full of forests, flowers, and quiet rhythms. Good night. May nature's quiet wisdom stay with you until morning.